I'm with Linden Edwards, the chairman of the Royal Association of British Dairy Farmers, which is the organisation responsible for organising the Dairy Event and Livestock Show, which takes place today and tomorrow. Linden, this morning you announced a call for a national strategy for dairy farmers. Just what exactly are you asking for?
Well, for quite a few years now, RABDF has tried to get together with other organisations to create a national strategic plan for dairying. This is something that is evident in most other large dairying countries, but it's something that we have never had. But what we've said this morning is that if we cannot get other organisations to go along with us and do it together, we believe this is a vital thing to happen for the future of the whole industry, and so we will do it on our own, if we have to actually get the plan done. Because we've been talking about it now for quite a few years, and it still hasn't happened. So,
and what exactly do you expect to be in the plan? What are you hoping it's going to achieve?
I don't want to prejudge what's going to come out, because obviously at this stage we're just looking to go into the start of it, but it's going to be all the way through the industry to know exactly where we are to try and plan a route forward. I can't give you a lot of detail at this stage, because that would be preempting what we're actually going to do, but we're hoping to be able to come back to the industry in the early part of next year with some more details.
Okay, but so you've identified a need for a plan, which suggests that you've identified some key issues which need addressing. So what are the issues that you hope the plan will address?
What capacity do we have within the industry? Where's the processing? Are we over capacity? Right the way through the political side, cost sharing responsibility, the devolved governments and how things are differentiatedly dealt with. So it's a completely large issue, and I don't want us to linger on it at this stage because we don't know what will come out of it. We think we may have some ideas of what will come out of it, but at this stage it's far too early to say.
But you think it's important enough to go ahead and do it, regardless of whether you can get other people to cooperate with you on it?
I think it's
if there wasn't a plan, what's your feeling?
I think it's essential for the future of the industry, and we would like to do it with other organisations. We've tried on numerous occasions to actually get other organisations to come on board with us, and it hasn't been successful. So we're going to put our money where our mouth is and actually go ahead and do it.
Okay. Now, one of the other things you talked about this morning was the pension arrangements, or your concerns about the lack of pension arrangements for a good percentage of the dairy industry.
That's right.
How many farmers is that involved, do you think, who don't have the requisite pension plans for the future?
From the survey that we've done, we surveyed 500 farmers back a couple of months ago, and we found 25% of those farmers didn't have a pension at all. Now, on the basis that the people who will reply to service, we believe that could be a much higher figure, which we found to be very worrying. And we worked with Hargreaves Lansdowne, who are an independent pension advice specialist, and it quite surprised them as well. So the figures that we've actually come up with, because we're trying to cost labour in, we've done a thing in the past where we're costing family labour, because you see lots of things coming up in the press where they can do milk production for small amounts of money. When it's actually all costed in with family labour, employed labour, you're looking between 7.2 and 7.9 pence per litre. Doesn't matter how you break it down, whether it's family, all employed, or a mixture. It's in that ballpark. What this pension survey was doing was bringing the pension element into it, and we believe for a 50% of final salary pension, we need to add 0.34 pence per litre to that figure to bring it up to a 8.24 to actually allow for farmers to have a pension, because farmers need a pension.
Presumably, because if they don't, then you have this sort of, if you like, the typical way a lot of farms have progressed, which is that the passing on generation still draws on the existing business, and there isn't enough to go round.
That's right. And that's the position I am in on my farm at home. So I wouldn't want people to go into that position. When you're there, you've got nothing you can do about it. But planning in advance is a wonderful thing.
And is there any particular arrangements that you're working with pension providers in terms of, no, it's just simply...
We wanted to maintain totally independent, because if we come up and say, this is what you need to put away, and we're selling something, there's no point. There's enough people out there selling pensions. That's not our game. Our game is to advise what we believe is necessary.
Now, last week, obviously, a bit of a furore over the changes at the top of Dairy UK with the appointment of a processor chairman. And it's certainly caused an unease amongst farmers, and I think the RABDF has also expressed concern about that. What are your concerns, really, about not having, if you like, a fully independent chairman at the top?
I have several concerns. I think the way it was handled was very poor. It was sort of almost a fait accompli, and this is what's going to happen from the processing side of the industry. I think far more openness and a little bit more of a genuine approach would have been better. I know that Mark Allen has been condemned by some farming organisations who've said we're not going to work with him, and that's that. That's not my approach. I believe that that's condemning the man before he has had chance to be heard. And I would far rather try to work together with them. He's been voted in as chairman by a majority within the Board of Dairy UK. I believe we should go along with it, work with it as best as we can. If there's a problem and Dairy UK is not going to carry on in existence in its current format, then we will know fairly soon. But if it can carry on, because it has done some really good work in the last few years, and it'd be a shame to throw all that away. So at this stage, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
But do you think there's a wider role for RABDF, if you like? I mean, traditionally you've been really mainly seen as the organisation that organises this event.
Yeah.
And I see, when you've got lobbying information now on your stand and things. I mean, are you sort of seeing a wider role for RABDF? I mean, particularly, for instance, like the Dairy Farmers Forum, which there's some uncertainty as to how that's going to progress.
Well, RABDF have always been involved with the Dairy Farmers Forum, and I've sat on it since its start. And I'm committed to the Dairy Farmers Forum. I believe in it. Unfortunately, the Dairy Farmers Forum have not met since this announcement, and I am pressing for a very quick meeting to try and actually get to the bottom of where we are, because even at this stage, being involved with the Dairy Farmers Forum, I'm still not 100% sure exactly where we are.
Would you like to see RABDF sort of almost take the forum over and actually run it?
No, I'd like to see the forum running itself. I don't think there's a need for RABDF to take it over. NFU used to provide the secretariat. I don't want to jump into NFU's shoes here. They've obviously got a major grievance and have walked away. I'm not completely sure why that's happened, but I would be interested in finding out a lot more about it.
So you'd like to see them come back to the table?
I think that would be the ideal. Whether that would be possible at the moment, I don't know. But in the meantime, the Farmers Forum, there's still 9 or 10 people around the table. We need to get together and make sure that we believe we will still be effective. If we will still be effective and make farmers' voices heard within Dairy UK, I think we'll be doing a good job. If we're not going to be heard or not going to be taken any notice of, then it may as well revert to being Dial as it used to be, and we will have a separate producers group that may meet with Dairy UK on a different basis.
What about milk price? I mean, again, one of the issues people are talking about here today is the fact that we've probably had a year or so of unprecedented rises in milk price. I think you referred this morning to it being a complete reversal of fortunes, if you like.
Yeah.
But now against that background, we've got rising fuel costs, rising feed costs for a number of reasons. What do you think needs to happen to milk price over the next 12 months for the industry to remain profitable?
It's very difficult to forward say where milk price should be. It's got to be profitable or farmers aren't going to produce milk. The days have gone of farmers producing milk regardless of whether there's any money for themselves or for reinvestment. Farmers are now far more businessman-like than they were. They do their accounts properly, and they're not looking for massive profits, they're looking for sustainable living. And at the moment, with the current costs as they are, I would say for milk that's being produced on a year-round basis, from my estimations, you're looking at about 30 pence probably, but with costs going
to make
up,
a profit, or just the cost
to make a sustainable profit. Ideally, a little bit more would be better, but at the moment that's not going to happen. It's a really tight market out there. The credit crunch is biting hard. You've got the supermarkets are discounting milk as a loss leader to get people through the door, whatever you want to call it. I'm not unhappy about that. A lot of farming organisations are criticising the big supermarkets. I'm not unhappy about how they sell their milk or what price they sell their milk for. It doesn't concern us. What does concern us would be if they try to pass those reductions back to the farming industry. And that we must stand firm on that because we have got no room for movement.
So are you worried, though, that might actually happen in the next 12 months, that you've got a rising cost base, you've got the retailers discounting milk, it sort of feels like it's squeezing the gap? I mean, are you seriously
yet.
worried or a little bit worried that the next 12 months could be quite tricky?
I am always worried that price could be the major issue. At the moment that hasn't happened. I believe that there's enough information within the industry now, within the major processors and within the major supermarkets. They know what it costs to produce milk year round. Yes, if you're producing milk in the spring off grass, you can produce milk more cheaply, but that's not what that market is. That market demands milk 365 days a year. And if they want milk being produced in December and January, they've got to pay the price it's going to cost to produce that milk.
Of course, we're talking about rising costs. One of the issues we're hearing today is the lack of availability of straw and what that means for the industry going into the winter, housing, bedding availability, feed. Are you picking up that as a concern?
I'm picking up as a definite concern. However, I believe that if this weather that we're having now, this bit of dry weather lasts for another week or 10 days, I think the quantity of straw will probably be okay for the winter. The quality will be really poor, but we'll have enough volume.
And if it is poor quality, then what are farmers going to have to do? Presumably...
Well, if they're using straw as feed, they'll have to buy more concentrates in to supplement it. If they're using it as bedding, then they're going to have some dusty yards, unfortunately, but that's how the season has turned out this year.
And have you got enough on your farm?
No, we're short.
You're short?
Mine is still standing in the field, so I'm
Which is probably better than it being flat on the ground.
I'm anxious to get home and actually put some in the barn, so yes.
Linden Edwards, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.